Testing, testing, one, two, three.
Good morning. We start with the Lama Tsongkhapa Guru Yoga from the small booklet. From the heart of the Savior of 100 deities of Tushita, on a peak of cloud resembling a clam of extremely white fresh curd, King of Dhamma, omniscient Losandrapa, please come here together with your sons. In the sky before me, on a lion throne, lotus and moon, my perfect pure Guru smiles with delight. Supreme field of merit for my mind of faith, please abide for 100 yawns to spread the teachings. Your holy mind has the intelligence that understands the full extent of objects to be known. Your holy speech with its excellent explanations is an ear ornament for those of good fortune. Your holy body is radiantly beautiful, legally renowned. To you who are meaningful to see, hear, and remember, I prostrate. Pleasing drinking water, various flowers, fragrant incenses, lice, scented waters, and so forth. Oceans of cloud-like offerings, both actually arranged and mentally emanated, I offer to you the supreme field of merit. Whatever non-virtue of body, speech, and mind, especially those opposite to the three vows that I have collected from beginningless time, I confess each and every one with fervent regret from my heart. You strove for much learning and practice in this degenerate age, and made your freedoms and richnesses meaningful by abandoning the eight worldly concerns. Savior, we sincerely rejoice in your extensive deeds. Perfect, pure, holy Gurus from the billowing clouds of wisdom and compassion in the sky of Dharmakaya, please let fall a rain of profound and extensive Dharma upon the receptacle of those to be subdued exactly as they need. May whatever virtue I have collected benefit the teachings and all transmigratory beings, and in particular may it cause the essence of perfect pure Losandrapa's teachings to shine forever. Sajibuki Chuji Metok Tramari Rablingji Nidegempadi Sangeshindu Mikte Ulwa Hidrokunamdak Shinla Chubasho. By the merits of having offered this mandala to Lama Tsongkhapa and his two sons, may I, my family members, and all sentient beings be able to meet, practice, and actualize the teachings of the victorious one Losandrapa, who had a morality of eminently pure way of life, was courageous in the extensive conduct of the sons of the victorious ones, and accomplished the yoga of 2 stages of supreme bliss and emptiness. Idam Guru Ratna Mandalakam Niryatayami. By the force of having fervently requested in this way, Hollow beams of white light are emitted from the hearts of the perfect pure Father and Sons, and combining into one enter my crown. White nectar, the color of milk, flows from the opening of tube of white light, cleansing all my sicknesses, spirit harms, negative karmas, obscurations, and their imprints without exception. My body becomes as pure and clear as crystal. Now we recite 5-line Miktsema 3 times together. Migme tsewe te chen chen rezik, drime gempe wampo jampe liang, dupo malu jonze sawe dak, kanchen kepe tsungen tsong kapa, lo sandra pe shabla solwade. Migme tsewe te chen chen rezik, drime gempe wampo jampe liang, Dupo malu jonze sawedak, kanchen gepe tsungen tsongkapa, losan drape shabla solwade. Migme tsewe terchen chen rezik, drime gempe wampo jampe liang, dupo malu jonze sawedak, kanchen kepe tsungen tsongkapa, losan drape shabla solwade. And a prayer for the swift return of Lama Zopa Rinpoche by His Holiness the Dalai Lama. Peerless teacher and assembly of the children of the victorious ones, Shravakas and Pratyeka Buddhas, victorious Losang father and sons, along with the lineage masters, all the objects of refuge of infinite lands, please bestow the virtue and goodness of accomplishing this prayer here and now, holding and spreading the Muni's precious and complete teachings. Through explanation and practice, you wore the armor of patience that is never discouraged. Incomparable venerable Guru, to you I make request. While striving single-pointedly for the sake of the victorious one's teachings, the sole gateway through which all benefit and happiness emerge, and for mother living beings, you suddenly departed to peace. What a great loss! Nevertheless, through the undeceiving truth of the blessings of the ocean of the three jewels and the great waves of bodhicitta of the children of the victorious ones, may the smile of a reincarnation swiftly beam in a glory for fortunate disciples.
Sancho Pardo Dani Capsuchi Dagi Chushi Yevanda Dag Roland Benji Sanji Rubara Sho Sanji Chudan Soji Chono Sancho Pardo Dani Capsuchi Dagi Chushi Yevanda Dag Roland Benji Sanji Rubara Sho Sanji Chudan Soji Chono La Sancho Pardo Dani Capsuchi Dagi Chushi Yevanda Dagi Roland Benji Sanji Rubara Sho Kangi Tuzini Zone Dawa Tamje Bambishi Tamishin Dunzebe Kodam Dela Chanze Lo Namala Ekenolo Jiki Tribundana Mi Ekenolo Kundi Janum Chizam Tamje Gedu Dagi Chuden to Good morning. Good morning. Happy Aboptushi. And happy birthday, Kumbala. Shabadele. Buddha kare. Tayusana kare.
Heaven. Heaven.
Kuma.
Heaven.
Yeah,
Okay,
Buddha
this
came to
chinchuru
India
dagger.
for Kumbala's birthday today. 데리다 자왈할레 파비 투시 찌기어레스 랑간스다 벽에 비기다 로토 시송 지원디 좀 된데 할레 파비 투시는 세지 투 단 넘버 산지 병원에 셴 투 캐버 젠지라야 찌기어레스라
So according to the Tibetan lunar calendar, today is considered as the very auspicious occasion where Buddha descended from Tushita heaven.
데르다 대지당이 로르지 샤레 싱규메라 로르지 만체지등에 ngaran 캘린더지 제도 문드스라
Yes. So I'm not very familiar with the history, and many of the historical accounts are not doesn't seem very kind of convincing to me.
약슈 등알아 약슈 또 산지기 추드레샤스라 산지기 추디 피게 가주스기 더 릭퍼 드림 릭 삼로탄 균생 가주스기 균생 삼바이나 그 균생 요교치 균생 양타바치 더 수수 제바치 요바티 슈슈지기 제바치 토고요 말데네 가주 토토지기 제바치 요바티 수수 이체니 요바티 오늘 단위 이왕 trouble
So the kind of only thing that I could happily accept is the teaching of Buddha himself, and because the teaching of Buddha withstand logical reasoning, the more you analyze, the more you find conviction in the content of those teachings. And when you, even if you personally analyze the teaching itself, you find more meaningful, and it seems more convincing as your analysis goes deeper.
어딘지 지르다 단들 로르기 가시죠. 배나 자왈할 바비기다 로르기 직시거리디야. 대양 이왕 trouble 배나 소소던 딩원이 이왕 trouble 용도스. 데니 파버 토메기 주준 잠본 공부 샬스단기. 아니 로르기 치거레스. 더 두순 trouble 배 간줄라야 펜도요 되바식. 간줄 셈래 배나 소소 셈래야 펜도요 되바 로르기 두조 아니 상담나 가르쳐다지 냠랭 소리지 로종 소리지 나라들이 털고였어.
However, there are few accounts which are kind of beneficial for our own practice. For instance, the accounts pertaining to how Buddha's descendants from the Tushita heaven has also a kind of beautiful story behind this. And on top of that, if you look at the historical account where how Asanga perceived Maitreya Buddha and received teaching from him, this is also another account where we could find a kind of inspiration from this incident. And these historical accounts, or rather these accounts, could be used in our own personal practice to enhance our own kind of conviction and enhance our own spiritual growth.
베나다 좀 된디 토마 잠블리라야 총바라스라 좀 된디 잠블리라야 꾸땀니 총니다 총니 데니 니마 둥비젤라야 공기 마염드 공부조요레스 다 마염 공부조니 데니 코랑기다 아니세거라 안티세거나 디기 아니 좀 된데다 마염 난시 이체네 아니야 소종 첨부차원데디 안티 고랑기 마염 임바치마도 아니 마염 공부조여바디 딱고 쇼뉴딜레야다 캥기 메비기 술레스라 드니야 진짜 아니 간지 타드나 아니 랍드 종 데니 퇴좀로니치 곰교도 세네 아니 공부조바 산게위 jela teni ta rangi madi chongni ani pigi ta chi haiyul ani jitsun chambon gombi ta shingam senamandu o dindi jila ya ani keyo bati ngonshi ki topki sikbaris dachida sheda mambo da dodo dindi rojire ngonshi ki topki ta rangi madi yigi ta chi ani gandela ya ani kewa sheyo bati tu shuyo bati ngonshi ki topki sikwondi dindi hayula ya pebaris mati chet mati zubi ta chi hayi tenjing doshanam 점된 디기다 최소니 아니 durgubi tula papigi 아니 도자남 식제네 아니 점된 딜 하율라 페바레스 디시고레스라
So, um, so with regard to the account behind Buddha's descent from heaven, the popular account goes that when immediately after he was born, when he was after 7 days of his birth, his maternal mother passed away, and then he was looked after by his the sister of his mother, and he nurtured under her care. And then later, over time, Buddha renounced the life and became an ascetic. And then, after practicing austerity for many years, and he finally attained complete enlightenment. And after he attained complete enlightenment, uh, um, he kind of, perceived through his clairvoyance that his real mother was in Tushita heaven. So through his clairvoyance, he perceived the present status of his real mother, and then he thought he should go there to teach and benefit his real mother and many others who are born in the Tushita heaven. So this is one variation of the story where he deliberately went to Tushita heaven to teach and kind of benefit his mother and many other disciples who are in the form of deities.
데들의 닌자 점된 딜 하율라 페바디 기부 용약 체도 nganzu dojina tayu le gewa shows tabi shin le gewa shows kasna nga gibu yungri samchen ra suzu dewa yongya gichedo suzu degi gichedo tayu le ya giya nam giya ros ra jengi chedo tagdon do chikni sen digi madi gichedo ani suzu le yosu de tancheni ani nation la dro sigma ros ra dro tuyo maros 수수 마디 시디 마디 체도 아니 수수지 정보를 땅고 좀 땅투여 말았어. 점점 얘기 많이 봐. 잠블링 거란다. 갑 뒤지기다. 잠블링디 아니 좀된 딜이야. 이게 아니 가서다. 아니 겹 중에서도 차여로 그래. 잠블링 디 난게 아니 간이 남기 초송은 아직 딘디 끼우 차대요. 상막이 용수도 쭉 끌고요래. 아니 지금요래 쇼기다 샵도 간지 또는 쇼 구성적으로 제걸 근데 상만도 단체 무슨 상만의 그 단체 다이를 패버디 마디 체도 패요래 그 상상이 이 야부 빼도 템부 빼도 난 저기 아니 랑기 마디 체도 가르치 뜨기요 어제 이거다지 이 냠도 좀 전에 마디 체도 들리는 거래 low langi negosia malaya chiti chigo kichi sonyorasa par omodo sangi temi jelaya ani chi kichi di madti yo ani chomden di ta lorji jawhal ta lorji te ondi dioresa ting anjo hako ko
So, so if you look at the story behind this, the reason why Buddha went to Tushita heaven. And the primary reason behind his departure to heaven is, of course, to teach his mother, to teach Dharma to his mother. And that is how it distinguishes Buddha from ordinary beings. For ordinary beings, we often make prayers to reborn to the heaven, in the realm of heaven, only to gain happiness or only to get kind of benefit for ourselves. We often make prayers to reborn in Pure Land. However, as far as the Buddha is concerned, his the reason behind his departure to Tushita heaven is not for his own self-interest, but rather to teach his mother and to benefit others. So therefore, this is the one reason why it distinguishes him from other ordinary beings. And during his time, he received immense respect and admiration during his time when he was on the earth. However, by sacrificing um, all these kind of special treatment, he decided to go to heaven to teach his mother and benefit many others beings. So from this, what we can understand is that Buddha has immense kind of respect and um, admiration towards his own mother. So that's why even when he was on the path, he kind of considered mother's kindness as a very important element. And even after he attained complete enlightenment, he made sure that he kind of departed all the way to the heaven to teach his mother and benefit his own benefit his mother. So from these we should learn that the kindness of mother should not be kind of take lightly, and that is one thing that we could learn from uh, the account of Buddha's departure to the heaven.
Terda, the Jomden Ding by Nia, Kichish, and Mad Sigiyovati, the Siwureda, the Lord you did on Soundana, the Siwures, Jomden Ding, the Kichish, Mad Sigiyores. Second one is the Jagal Kiba to Jagal Gita, only time Namju put the Chonding and then Vivian to Zogi, Mad Kitchen was shoot here. Mad Kitchen was shoot here. And then how does that Kirky, that you did, and in Jangal on the single chimbo, Lamram Chendi Chonding, say that. Ning the part of what the mother is, ning the part of what the mother is. It's the only Namju Togi, they only teaches you the mat severe. Think on the how to do it.
So from this, what we can understand is that Buddha considered mother as a very important person in his life, and not only in his own life and his teachings, because we could also find similar emphasis placed on the importance of mother on many other classical Indian writings as well. And again, if you look at the writings of many Tibetan scholars, including Lama Tsongkhapa himself, if you look at the writings related to stages of the path to enlightenment, you can find where mother is considered as the most supreme, or rather the closest of one's own relative. So therefore, from these writings, we can understand that in all of these scholars have considered mother as a very important person in their own respective life.
And it's the Jaurum series. Jaurum Kaduna and a Mati shoot again and a Tishimanangre. Kansas J. Gumal, another Nani Nasa Dilani, Chaton, and Kachu share Chaundi, and Jaurum Sumzona shooting. Chaton Kachu Nandi, and Sumzona carry over the Jigba. And because Zumzu Church with Matelia, now Butelia, and Jaurum my Kubal Stigna. Pay out, this year.
a contemporary kind of example we could think of is, of course, of His Holiness the Dalai Lama, and during the COVID time, where he engages his devotees through a virtual mode, we often had the opportunity to listen to his teachings through online. And then when the teachings were live streaming from his own residence, we could kind of partly see what are there in his own residence. And then one occasion when he was giving a public teaching through from his own residence, you could see that His Holiness kept a picture of his own mother at the corner of the table. So that could also indicate that he also hold his mother very dear.
Tinzata nganzulaya ta ama yogi yore ama chongsange yore ku yungu yore ko ani jigden kam ta teri nganzu sangi gita ani zeba jikshi yor da ina sangi chomden din zambalin de pevni ani gombanyangel den da loni don chugya sa jin rogu yorasra ti jibo mari gyagar khiba yon so botan nganzu pe ani zu zisaki ani gyagar khiba sori pen jamgolong zungwa chenbo yapsela so yon so bote pevni 안 직된 감을 배우니 고만양에는 대사를 인자 안 참을던 도스 로고여를 가시 로사여를 가시 용의 얘기를 임바이는 야다 개지 로사여 봐야냐 아니 마티 쳐도 뭐는 약부시 잡아야나 디 약부래도 왔어 개시슈래도 마티 쳐 개지 마티 대여 봐야나 마티 직 아니 세 탈신 바 용야다 아니 직강 대비rin야 아니 내매 아니 지 세리 용야다 삼전 주발로 소바 간지 딘디 몰람지 갸니 아니 소소파 니 쿠드디야 마디체도 몰람지 갸 야니 사운디야 아마디체도 몰람지 갸도 와나 오니 야고차고 와서레스 손놈 사야이나 텔딘이 용구여서레 아니 지 담빌 하주드야 이나야 조 마실레 때니 용고도 왔어 대상 삼 용고레스로 안 좀된 디도 제바 진진 책임 바이나야 마델 야부체바나 아니 좀된 디긴 제바 뭐 차가도 왔어 좀된 디 비긴 제바 제자 딩아 진진 책 지고 많이 봐뭐 좀된 디 가르치고 여바디 아니 소수 채워서를 차트고도 왔어 딘디 상담도 배 야부였어레스
Um, and then here among the audience, as we talk about the importance of mother or how they hold significance in our own respective lives, some of your mothers may not be together with us today. They might have already passed, and some of your mothers are still alive today. So this is how life unfolds. When we talk about the Buddha himself or many other great Indian scholars that we discuss, all of them are no more with us. For instance, Buddha has appeared more than 2,600 years ago, and he's no more with us. So this is how kind of life unfolds, and this is how one time we all need to depart from here. However, the most important thing is, if your mother is still with us, still with you, then it's really important to make sure that she has a very healthy and happy life. And if she is already departed or passed away, then at least you should make a sincere prayer for her. And before you go to sleep, if you could pray for your mother, whether departed or still alive, and if even when you immediately after wake up from sleep, if you could still make a prayer, then it would be very, very beneficial to remember the kindness of your mother. And even from the point of view of Dharma practice, this is considered as a very important element to accumulate merit. And all the practices associated with Dharma start from recognizing the kindness of our own mother. So if you could do that, it is similar to follow the footsteps of Buddha himself, because he also practiced this way, and he also held his mother very dear to him. So therefore, by remembering the kindness of our own mother is nothing but following the footsteps of the Buddha himself.
Madi Tinjimbu Imbati Yani Yang the Sam Tambayana Semnala Troy Gacha Jatamba layer the Yosaris, the Yosaris. Kasanada Penangado Chinjung Konla, the Luchub Dunchubgeni, Susupayushani, any me lombala dore, come to do any Jagangi P, that Sera Gombala Chick Doerana, Taran drink some Rajimado, Pama Shad and Drogo, Pama Semdi Jungerson, Sorosho Mes, Shomishanara, Kimes, Narapi Jagachi Lerosina, Sera Chilichi Lerosina, Timado, so was a Kiyomaras. That Deni Sera Lip Gigin to Zunji, and Peja Jan. Peja Jandu, Sindadava Yon, Chero Geshe, Kanji Tsultrim Mara, the Lochu Sajiri, Geshe de Radara. And do she the pig some down the one time mother the kitchen bush shoot. Kitchen bush shoot in Tongudo Asra. Tongudo. Then Tong the Tindachi Mitsu Piggy Aminyam the Rode and Toya the Pugdos Amasla Amagi Piggy Pugaya Asla didn't tone the Sam Naloya be so cancer the Ringa Mambu lessons. Conjulator, Kenzarada, the Jida China Sam Chong Rangira, Nabi Songa Chimbu didn't draw on the Kashi. Ama Aslara, Nara Sam Naloya Chik. Sashu the children, not the Amitri Layan, Amalachi Robachi, Kalaras, Amal Chambuchi, and Kandaya, we something. Not did it so Conjo Pemolegdos.
So therefore, if you could remember the kindness of mother, it is very kind of important in our life, not only with regard to our own personal practices, but also on the daily basis. Remembering the kindness of our mother is very important. For instance, if I look back at my own life, I separated from my parents when I was around 17 or 18 years of age, when I was very young. So during that time, my only wish is to come to Sarah and study. And that time, when I heard, or when I knew that I could go to, Sarah, I could not think much about the pain of separating from my mother. And then later I came to India and spent many years studying and engaging in the rigorous studies of Buddhist texts and so on and so forth. And then later I came here and become a teacher around 10 years. So this is definitely not a short time. So now, when I reflect back upon this time, I could see the kind of importance of the role of mother in one's daily life. For instance, here, when I often visited kind of, shopping centers outside, and when I see parents taking their children to a shopping mall, or when I hear children's calling to their parents, mom, when I hear this, I become very emotional. I often become emotional when seeing this sight of parents taking the children, or children calling to their parents. So these are all very, whenever I encounter such incidents, I become very emotional, and I could kind of realize the pain of separating from my parents, my mother. And then I often feel how wonderful if I have the same opportunity to stay close with my mom and could serve her, even such as simple as making a dinner for her or something like that. So I could really see the significance of the role of mother in one's daily lives.
Nanginyimataba Amalaya, Kejishigis, Pikiudus, Amala Kejishedi, Nimataba Shigis, Ami Keji Koradi, Mandraj Redasra, Ami Kedi, Keshemba the Mandraj, Miss Sundachigi, 직수 야불라바다 아메 분수 깨지셔와니 샘노 초기는 드라이브도스 딱지 야고 제대더라 가서 아메 그게 깨지셔야지 해매워지 아메 제와 딩안줄라야 해매 제와 생 아니 베나 자상기 찍찍려야 제와디 화장기 아니 소수 게던데 저기 이러지 제대도서 자상 편조 제와디 아니 소소소 게든기 게든데 저와 침보 다 착삼선한다 게든데 저와 침보래도 그러 베나 아니 저가디기 아니 소수 게메 될이야 그 장부치야디 소소의 야부용에 제대로지 그게 게메 등은 소소 야부 맞으나 제와들 나가려고도 하더라 나신 게메 되더라다 아니 저번 편수에는 망치 딘지러다 게겐 게투라야 제와테다 막 폴레지 제와티 딘지제면도 하더라 다 첨부 차는 내줄 로가리 난저 가야 마투게 가도 조 마투 사 마투 깨제시에 마투 가야 치 마투게 가도라야 난저 소종칭 아마들아 갑 드디 아마디기 샘나로라야 부드 약부지 초나 부드 만나야다 아직 상long 약부 초나 섬에 레와 디마도 딜랑이 파지치는 아투지 용거를 섬 레와 생에 부점이요 말았어 레도 부점이요 말 딘즈 디 제와디 레미비 제와 샤초고도 하더라 다 딘디기 제와 칭인디 잠블리나마 아마마도다 요 말했어 요 말했어 딘즈 제롬치 닌기 타투바디 말했어야 균젠도 하더라 균젠 요랬어
So, and then even these days, I often speak with my mother, and whenever I had the opportunity to speak with my mother, I find it very soothing and comforting because the voice of mother is absolutely different from the voices of all other. Because when you hear your mom, your mother complimenting you or saying something sweet to you, it is different from some other people saying sweet things about you, because the compliment that you hear in mother's voice is unsullied by, or rather untainted by, other kind of other emotions, and it's absolutely unconditional, and that indicates that the mother's love is unconditional. It is free from the tints of other worldly concerns, other conditions. For instance, the love between your spouse, the love between the couples, it could be the romantic relationship. It could have some kind of, it could be stinted by a little bit of a personal interest. Because, for instance, if you take the example of a romantic relationship between a couple, if one partner started to lose interest in the others, gradually the other partner also started to lose interest. It indicates that the love is not unconditional. As long as the love is if as long as the love is conditional, it is not enduring. So, however, the mother's love towards her child is unconditional, and it's not depending upon any other conditions. It does not even look whether the child loves back or not. So it indicates that the love between mother and child, and the love between the teacher and its disciples are unconditional. So therefore, even Lama Tsongkhapa has stated in his text that the mothers are the closest of your relatives, and this indicates the importance, how the role that they play in our life, and how important they are in our lives.
그나 나도 디게 톤루스음제 차치우트 대와이나로 차치우트서 보고도 소단지 대와이나로 콘솔레 보고딜 파 보고도 쓰니 보고도 쓰지 로버지스 레도 생에 싸우니 메타저라스라 보고들 세와디 레도 강에 메비 세와지 티칼 카보라 디 티페 마세버는 단침보 인사레스 로 사른 단침보 제슈드 티레샤 마도파 가주스 야부 제바이나야 수 야부지나 야부더라와스 이네 콜레 레도지기요 반자 아니 냥가지기요레스 지금 맞잖아 파종은이 지금 맞잖아 아니 빼디 참말라줘야지 그래 아마 산지 위치는 거는 시원디 레도 가야 메비토니 젠라 펜도 치야디 아니 슈 남달래 지기요레스 근데 이 들이 캐람들 지시해지네 나 솔직히 라야 삼로단니 셰바이나 냥가 배신 버렸어 나 가야 말하는 담아데 나 쪼라 로펌 데주케기 냥가 열었어 저 레도 가야 메비토니 나랑 강 심바디 삼반 남다지니 셰샤바이나 셰세비질랑 비키부 열었어 너도 들었어
And another reason why the mother's love are unconditional is a lot to do with their kind of lack of expectation from the child, because when a mother loves her child, she does not have any expectation in return that later the same kind of help will be reciprocated. So in most cases, these are not happening. So if you look at how animals, particularly the birds, nurture their um, young child, I don't know, young child. So they do not have any expectation in return for taking care of the young birds. So that is something very crucial, that when you do something, if you do not have any expectation or rather self-interest with that action, that is very crucial, and that is also very important. So similarly, whenever we do something, if you have a slightest of kind of expectation in your mind, then it may lead to disappointment. For instance, in today's case, when I'm giving a teaching, and if I have some expectation from your side to kind of make some offering or something like that, then it may lead to disappointment. So therefore, from Buddhist perspective, engaging in Dhamma practice or doing something without having any expectation in return is considered as the most supreme form of practice. So therefore, being able to love without any expectation, or being engaging in any activities without expectation, is considered a very kind of crucial element.
그게도 추서 다들 디자 좀 된디 공기 마염 기체도 아니 사유를 페버레스 다디 사유를 컨트롤 페버레스 당연히 디 비기 켈렌치도야 카고 페어 다 간선나 아니 온셰다 준축 dob지 펩줄디 간줄로 슝고 마르와스 준축 dob지 페베디 준축 dob지 페베디 간줄로 마숑디 대점된들 하유라 간스 페게 하유 생이 거여레스 켈레 마드나 다든 요그다 페레스 요그다 페라.
Yes. So now, to return back to the original topic of Buddha's departure towards to Tushita heaven. So he departed to Tushita heaven to teach his mother. And now when we discuss this thing, the most difficult thing is to really to kind of convince ourselves about the possibility of someone departing to another realm through a miraculous channel. So since these are beyond the purview of our ordinary intellect, we are not able to comprehend the possibility of any person miraculously departing to another realm. So we may ended up saying that how this is even possible, where is the heaven? So since they are beyond the purview of our own ordinary intellect, we may ended up kind of dismissing the very fact.
다인바이나 아주 상무직 단어 준축 dob지 남칼은 프리야 요르 자치우 자마 남칼은 프리야 준축레스 자 그 프로그램 준축레스.
However, if you look at certain facts, we could see that they are nothing less than a magical thing. For instance, the birds flying in the sky, they are nothing short of kind of magically flying on the in the sky.
이제 당한도 시험, 나 콘도 컨트스 프로레스 라와나. 쇼바 요르스 되네야. 아, 그 쇼바 요바 있네야. 가시 쇼바 요는 프로투고요 말했어. 니 간지 준주디 샘 기토기. 샘 콜론지 기토기. 프로고요레스. 그나간지 라반남 두스키아야디. 라반남 두스키아야디. 콜롱지 고고도. 콜롱 샘 기토기 라바에 캬야지 용고도. 준주 그것이 되게 그것이 샘도 토만디 아니 루 남갈 당투고 요레스 루 남갈 당투고 요레스
So when we talk about birds flying in the sky, we could often say they do so because of having wings, but still simply having wings is not sufficient to able to fly in the sky. You need an intent to activate that kind of that action of flying. For instance, if we raise our hand without the intent of raising the hand, the action could not simply happen. So therefore, when you actually actualize the clairvoyance of miraculous action, then there is a possibility of attaining these things.
차바 슈시무 슈 땅도
Ali.
차바 슈시무 슈 땅 감졌어 It's not my fault. 난저 차바 슈시무 슈 땅도 되게 콘주 고고요 나선데나 고고요서래 you hear good no problem excellent yeah 야고베 고고도사
Less.
어디리 딘자 간조 빼나 간조 니무 공부 잡는 로마틱 사치라 니 쿠데가 칼라 말람다니 아니 라는 드론데 로토야 딘디 용고여스디 말람 기토기 말람 토기 말람 추니 미카시 라는 드샤고라스라 라는 드고디 디 야차 야탐바 간조 남규 니 세디비 칼라야 공부 잡는 로마틱 사텔라 니 나니 라는 드론엔소 로토야 딘디 용고레스 딘자 코 샘지그 또브레다 류 로단디 류 구겨디 샘그 또기 토니 류 구겨디 조고여바디 시우세야레스 딘자 온실라 소브 또기 아니 류 남갈라 담아 로 안디 용고여레스 어 딘디 또기 아니 좀된 딜하이얼 페바디 켈렌 셰샤와 나만디고 기요 마레스
So, then another thing is there are many instances where things could happen in a very unusual way. For instance, when people sleepwalk, so during the sleepwalk, what happens is that sometimes people tend to go in the places where he or she could not go if he or she is totally awake. So however, during the sleepwalk, they could travel to many strange places where it is quite impossible when that person is alive. So when such kind of actions happen, and another kind of mind is controlling the movement of the body. So therefore, the point is that all our movement of body is controlled by some other form of our mind, and the mind is responsible for the movement of our physical body. So therefore, through the power of clairvoyance and other mental powers, there is a possibility of lifting your body to the sky or flying and so on and so forth. So all these are possible with the accomplishment of certain mental powers. So therefore, through this perspective, we could accept the possibility of Buddha's departure to the Tushita heaven.
때들다 라일야 페니 아니 랑기 마기 엔타 케와디 쯔비 아니 하여 도자 남라야 안 다왔음 그릴라야 아니 최 나위다 안 로기트 시기어레스라 다도 아니 다 다왔음 슬라운다 gyurumbu 아니 슈로다 딘리 시데디트니 아니 미유그 비타 자보스 카레 찍도 당기 미하시미라 자보스 사진나 찍세다 아니 콩게드니 아니 좀 된디 다 gyurumbu 만제디트니 슈지다 남지 좀 된디 다 메시지 on the shoot change 아니 바바 몽가 불라야 아니 코나라야 원셔다 준주여 완자 아니 좀 된디 가슈여레스 좀 된디 가표레스 먼저 좀 된디 제고 도슬라디 아니 콩기 아니 좀 된디 아니 하요라야 안두스 아니 최나는 슈여레스라디 아니 고지캬라 아니 야 하요라 펩체니 아니 좀 된디 된디 슈로치 메요라야 간주 아니 메요고 도자나고 좀 된디 다 다시 탱도 간지 된디치니 아니 콩야 펩 아니 좀 된디 마 된디슈 아니 좀 된디 샤시나니 아니 나도 다치 서질라마 용고스 아니 까나 아니 코라마용 아니 미유다 도잔남지 좀 된디 페 아니 타틱시야라 소바든 하이 아니 지 하이 안보 자신의 상발로 소베든 마 페기시야라 된디가 지 아니 다 저비든 푸스 소바지 시험체니 아니 좀 된디 마 페비 니모디 데린스기 요레스다 데린스기 요레스다
That's right. So after Buddha departed to Tushita heaven, he spent 3 months over there giving teachings to his mother and many other gods who were residing in the Tushita realm. So after spending many time and after 3 months of departure from the earth, then many other disciples who are on the earth, they somehow, including a king, they kind of miss Buddha, and they also wanted to receive teachings from him. And then after some time, they kind of approached Mogalayana and asked him, where is the Buddha? And they also wished to receive teachings from him, to which Mogalayana responded that Buddha is in Tushita heaven, giving teachings to the gods and his mother. And then the king and many other followers requested Mogalayana to kind of go to heaven and invite Buddha back to the earth. So so that's when Mogalayana went back to Buddha and requested him to come back to the earth to give teachings and benefit to the disciples of the earth. Then he kind of agreed to return after a week's time. And then after a week's time, the disciples on the earth made huge preparations for his return, and also the gods in the Tushita heaven, they also kind of organize a huge kind of farewell to Buddha and his descendants to the earth. So today falls that time where he returned to the earth and give teachings to the disciples of the earth.
당한주의 신고에 조디 좀 된디 미율라 페비 고든 카르레스 고바 카르레스라 당한주 신고 와서레스라 개체슈디 좀 된디 미율라이 마 페비 고바 조디 아니 미율기 도자 남라야 아니 최 타바드 탐지기비 살아야 거야디 좀 된디 페비 고바 조디 지차고레스
So now the most important thing that we should understand is not the account itself, but rather the reason behind his descendants to the earth, why Buddha came back. So here the most important, or rather the most significant reason behind his return to earth is really to lead sentient beings to either salvation or liberation, or to attain complete state of Buddhahood.
안간주다 직된 강구 미 남지 물을 람비 아니 된다 님보디 고바 약슈디 아니 취시에도 최고래서 아주 취 킬링 두고만도 취시에도 최고 아주 밀기 그거디 아니 미 남주 약슈드 베주 체크도 밀기 거다 미 남주드라요라서 다 밀기니 로추레였는다 뉴슈레였는다 숨주 십주 가르레요 바이나야 고등 조디 취시에도 인사레스 약슈디 취시에도 인사레스
And then, even if you look at from our own perspective, if you reflect about what is the whole purpose of our life, and then I think the whole purpose of being born as a human, or the purpose of life, is really to be able to use our intellect in the highest possible way. And by using our intellect in the highest possible way, the kind of the most important thing is to engage in the Dharma practice. So even if even if you're not able to accept the importance of Dharma immediately, but still the most kind of significant purpose of our life is to engage in the Dharma practice.
데레다 제세나 맞나 남경한테 쉬대야 돼 딜라케요 말해서 취세디 산지 취견도랑 취디 디레스다 산지 취 시비 취디 아니 뉴문 세비 세바들 샤고다 디마도 먼저 왔으라 뉴문 세비 세바디 취응을해스 디 세비기 세바토비기 탑디 람라바숨드레스 딜다 람라바숨레 랍 네 뉴문세야 세바치야디 아니 최제비 된다디 티렌도스 다 람라바숨레 라발라야 람라바숨레 랍주 신고연자 아니 퇴바 삼바 곰생이디 제고도스라 람라바숨기 아니 다 가르쳐다 림바마 아니 ngo즈 참마 셰샤기기 아니 데늘이야 아니 퇴바치 아니 디 된다 삼또 시온디 아니 라바숨디 랑길이 끼야지 용거여스 다 라바숨 랑길이 끼세베질이 양네 양도 아니 다 곰센난다 곰죽진 샘레야 곰죽진 랑기 샘다 라바숨기 냠레님보디 빼디 아니 추라 추다 추레바 나시친 아니 제투고야지 차고서레스 딘디온디 아니 뉴모생디 세도고여레스다 간지 랑기 샘다 뉴문인 제온디 차다모송그 온도소 아니 랭엠바생인 사가도스라 랑기 샘디 라바송단 제온디 아니 뉴문 세도고레스 뉴문 세비 세바도 토빈 고레스 아 차다모송 요 말이 아니 마기바 제고 말이 콘로 제고 말이 랭엠바 싸고 말 멀 두자 제고 말이 가르무가 가르존다 로폼 용고 말했다 메시는 약실 되었다
So, so here, when we talk about Dharma practice, of course, talk about Dharma within that framework. Dharma is considered as the complete cessation of all forms of afflictive emotions. So, if you engage in any action that leads to, or rather that kind of complements to the cessation of afflictive emotions, these are considered as a Dharma practice. And in order to eradicate or completely eliminate negative emotions, we need to apply the method of practicing 3 higher trainings. And by applying to perfect the practices of 3 higher trainings, of course, we have to first engage in the studies, and then contemplation, and then ultimately meditating about the meaning of 3 higher trainings. And so once we are familiarized or rather well equipped with the knowledge of 3 higher trainings, then there is a greater possibility of eliminating the negative emotions from our mind. So therefore, if we actualize the meaning of three higher trainings, if we perfect the practices of three higher trainings, then we could free our mind from the tense of afflictive emotions. And when our mind is completely mixed or rather tainted by afflictive emotions, then all other negative emotions and its negative consequences will ensue. However, if we kind of rather mix of mind or rather enhance our practices of three higher trainings, then there is a greater possibility of eliminating the negative emotions, freeing our mind from the power of negative emotions. And once we are able to eliminate the impact of negative emotions, then the all other kind of problems that are originated due to negative emotions will be will cease to exist. So that's how we will attempt to reduce or rather eliminate negative emotions and its consequences.
Tadini ta nyumu ses laundi ani nyumu sebi tab zabi labasum shayores labasum ki nyamnen jimbena nyumu setuk mares tabena mus bigi nyumu sejedi sherab gilaba yimba ya Tsultrim gilaba ta tengin zigi laba shiden yabuji mena ani sherab bigi tembu yabuji kitu yo mares ding ibar de kichimbu shoji shingwaji ro nyamling oni chingi jiban di kichimbu chikchagores.
So so here, when we talk about the complete cessation of afflictive emotions, or rather the complete eradication of negative emotions, of course, the only method of eradicating afflictive emotion is the practice of three higher trainings. And the higher training of wisdom is the direct antidote to eradicate negative emotions. Although that is the case, but still without the practices of higher training in morality and higher training in concentration, the wisdom alone could not counter the negative emotions.
단다 도바 연구하러 나 가시 도바 연구하러 변은 신니스 라운드 시스 라운드 아니 지 이완도 고버도서 신니 샘 지지도 네바텔이야 샘 미발에 지지도 네바스 라운드 다지 니무 시르고여서데 상성 신니 곰비도비 니무 시르고여서데 아니 니무 빵로고여서데 딘저 시르 고금도 삼성 딘디 도바 연구여서라 딘디 싸우니 말레스 니무 샘기 가서 신내기 또 니무 시세야디 아니 지 미과 신라 이양다지 어나 대사가 차도요래 거바가 차도요래 아니 지왕이 차도 저 신이 샘 미과를 지지 니비 텐레스 신내가 시세야디 니무 세비 텐다 말레스 세비 텐다 말레스로
So here, when we talk about the role of three higher trainings in eliminating the negative emotions, some people tend to think that shamatha practice or the practice of calm abiding alone is sufficient to eliminate negative emotions, because they tend to think that when you talk about calm abiding, the first term calmness has the connotation of pacifying, and here the pacification is only referred to as pacifying the distraction and the mental laxity and mental agitation, and it simply pacifies the mental laxity and agitation. It does not mean the complete elimination of excitement and agitation. So therefore, calm abiding alone is not sufficient to eliminate negative emotions, because calm abiding or shamatha practice, or rather the concentration, temporarily pacify the power of mental agitation and laxity. However, it could not totally uproot its impact.
남들은 지야 참소 몽당 가면치 신도니바 살주면서 장발로 써봐 아니 탑기 차디 뉴무 아니 자원이 찰 조직이 님보다 차요 말이스. 가서나 콘조 전당 무슨 거래요 말이스. 균전 디지장요레스. 전당 무슨 거와. 또 뉴무 자와들라고다. 마리바트다. 뉴무 자와 마리바 당즈 마리바트다. 전당 무슨 거와 마인자 아니 참발로 소바 디디게 아니 마리바 제 뉴구 말이스. 딘디직 송요레스라.
So, the Dharmakirti stated in his text, Pramanavartika, a commentary to the epistemological text, where he says that the compassion and other mental qualities, they could not uproot the fundamental ignorance because they does not directly opposes their mode of apprehension is not directly contradictory with the fundamental ignorance. So therefore, wisdom alone has the potential to counteract fundamental ignorance, not the compassion and other mental qualities, since they are not directly opposing in the mode of apprehending the object.
전당 무슨 가와디 수르슬라운데 다음에 또비 셔르트 차고레스 당진기 다nga 랑군의 트번 짐비기 당진지여라서 자와 디라다 다 디단 전당 무슨 가와디 nga 랑군의 마드버 또비 다음에 또비 셔르스난다 tombanyi 또비 셔르 디차고레스 디그 무슨 좀신 디차고레스 딘즈 셔르 메타메 인사디 균zen 딘디지 토니 셰고레스라.
And the reason why here wisdom is highlighted is because the wisdom directly contradicts, or rather directly counteracts with the fundamental ignorance, and it's somehow kind of directly challenges how the fundamental ignorance apprehends its object, and that kind of quality is lacking in the compassion and other mental qualities. So therefore, in that respect, since wisdom directly opposes or directly contradicts or directly counteracts how the fundamental ignorance apprehends its object, so therefore wisdom is important while attempts to eliminate negative emotions. So we can, if you have any questions now, we can take some few questions.
I have a question related to wisdom and the view. So if mind manifests as the phenomena we experience, how in that view how do other sentient beings kind of fit within that experience? I suppose to clarify a little, like for example, if the mind is projecting outwardly the objects we experience, that doesn't mean we simply project outwardly other sentient beings, for example. Is that correct?
Could you please repeat one more? I was struggling to charge my computer and my attention was gone. Sorry.
So did you
could you see the question one more time?
Okay, so if mind manifests as the phenomena we experience, how do we account for other sentient beings within that view? So, for example, if mind projects outwardly the phenomena we experience, that doesn't simply mean that other sentient beings are merely projected outwardly by one's own consciousness, for example. So how do we kind of understand this kind of interaction between our own sort of manifestation of our own mind as phenomena we experience and the interaction with other sentient beings.
Okay. Patient the Tivadigi Ningdo 되면 나기라. 먼저 다 냠스 뇽베기 치료기 최지로와 냠스 치료기 최디 당한도 샘기 박아서 바따버 좀 세월에 야는 샘기 남규 점래 근데 달라고요 레스라 다 근데 이미 손바에 나가서 치료라 낭샤베기 딱 칼로 강사 셴바 유타데베기 강사지 용거라 다 디수디 이니 양아서 샘기 바따 샤바트고 다 딘티 칸데시 게투 그래서 다당디 이거네
nganju semgba ben kerang la kang nang wa bi chelo go simjen de zo kerang gi semgba ta sha ba samres da laguyo mares ro ani 단단한주 샘점비 따와 시단 지기요리 디다 오마랑규 오만 탄규와게 최탐지 똑배 파딱 samresedini ani 케바 배치무 치고가 서레스 샘근남 규점 랑기 샘그 나 바샤 그 세도 유튜버레세디 아니 샘sam비 딘디지 셰고르마도 타두비 tum다 딜라 안 딘디 셰고요 마레스 cosa kitketin gas
Hello
yeah
예. 이제 롤레데 로저진데 차가지 차디야. So here, it is important to make a distinction between the explanation presented by Mind-only school and the explanation presented by Sangika school, where they say that everything is rather projected, rather fabrication or projection of mind. However, that explanation is slightly distinct from how how Mind-only school present the view.
pena reda semzambi tawdi siondi chikyori ta kenza jiyorisra chetamji kerangi semgu paja kerangla kangnangla di kerangi semgu paja 그 또지 투바레 세요서지 딩바는 안전 데라 영에 참말로 아니 kerangi 아니 paja 그 또지 투샤기 소리지 디따도 되기면 다스라 디따도 되기면 다스 이네 똑배 파딱 좀 세야지 이네 똑배 딱시 그 똑배디 kerangi 주기 똑배 인고 말았어 똑배 파딱 좀 세야지 밍 파딱 좀 밍 딱 좀 딥 베드 로가레스 다디
That's so according to the mind-only school, this says that the things that we experience, the external things that we experience, the external things that surrounds us are, are results of our own, the results of the activation of our own mental imprints. So therefore, according to that kind of explanation, it seems that everything that we see around are results or are the manifestation of your own kind of mental continuum. However, that explanation does not suit well as per the explanation presented by Prasangika school, where according to Prasangika school, they says that everything is mental mere imputed by conception. Everything is rather a mere designation, so it does not necessarily be designated by a single individual, by you as we speak. So therefore, things could be imputed by any other individual, any other person. It does not have to be imputed by yourself. But according to the explanation presented by Mind-only school, there somehow seems to be saying that everything is kind of manifested by the activation of your own mental imprint.
라디 랑기 최탐제 랑기 샘그 박샤 그 세도 유튜버에 세디 리그비 또 유튜브 좋나 칼카버레스 칼카버레스라 칼카버레스 다 tokpe tak sam sadi, ten tokpe partak sam sadi, and ribi druptu warista. The wimik ribi chikitara, mancha the wimik, tili lak drosa mibigi, riba chikitoni, the drugudasra. Pena ngaranzu yobadi, ngarang yobadi, ngarang nyongi chugurata, nga deva nyonga, nga dunga nyonga. Ah, di sama ngarangi, ti ngarang yobadi, nga nyongi chugurata. The yoba in a pig tagni, seni, any yotsulji yoresna, ti yomares. You korang tin yotsuldi, yomares di. Kandas tagji chivana, niemevadi, jazjadamares. There's a din niki tobji, kadrota, pat ming tagsam tony, shagobadi, umeg ribidures, do son yores. This will quite, this will tend to koyora, some dansa chiorata.
That's so when mindfulness school presented the view that everything that we see, everything that we experience, are rather results of the activation of the imprints that we have in our mental continuum, that explanation does not kind of withstand the logical argument presented by other schools, particularly the Prasangika school. And here, when the Prasangika schools presented their view, they somehow argues that everything that we experience are rather imputed, or rather imputed by the conception, or rather designated by designated verbally. So they are everything exists within the purview of imputation and designation. And according to that explanation, they use a logic where by eliminating all other possibilities, and then they come to a conclusion that this is how things exist. For instance, when we talk about the self or I, we experience the existence of ourself. We experience the feeling and so on and so forth. So we know I exist, or the self, we exist. But when we talk about then how we exist, then that is somehow beyond our explanation. So there is no kind of so when we try to analyze how the experiencer of that feeling exists, then we somehow eliminating all other possibilities and come to a conclusion that the experiencer of that feeling exists as a mere imputation, or rather mere at the level of mere imputation and a designation, by eliminating all other possibilities. So therefore, from that perspective, the experiencer do exist, but exists at the level of mere imputation and designation.
Geshe, I just wanted to clarify, did you say Dharma Kirti at the end of your talk? Was it, and also what sutra was it, please?
Tagigala lungchtanwa chamsomondang gamichi seti. Di pendichuragi lungrawasa ani di shungkane resa.
Seven namjire.
Chamsomond pijin yimbayo.
Pishi living iba injire.
That's okay.
See which tingmente. Pishi.
That's all. So that particular quotation is a quotation by Dharmakirti, probably from the second chapter of his text on Pramanavartika, probably second chapter.
Okay. Yeah, more. Yeah, okay.
When meditating on selflessness of the person,
Little bit up.
when meditating on selflessness of the person, since it's necessary to do so by way of investigating the aggregates, primarily here, is it the case would be meditating really on investigating the mind as the basis of designation of the person?
Okay. 간사게 담에 곰비 kapsus라 간사게 담에 곰비 kapsulata dagi gakshila nga samtangora di samtambi kapsula ani karsa di pumbu nga zo shishane dame gomgu rewe yana digi shitawdi sem shagu resa
ngadi shago da ngadi
nasa
shayra
nasa. So here we should put I as the basis for the analysis of that meditation.
je damini kebadi ani tongji chani cherema da gaji chani cheo mares
Yes.
ye son yores ra da kansa pa min tasa gi shi dajin phumbu ngadi ani demba madrubadi shugi damele she yores kan ta gyu nga jorat kansa jorat nga di nga demba madrubadi kansa ki dame wale she yores tiza kansa
Yes.
dame gumbi gi shi nga deres ro kansa danzi nga rang tsini chuban zibin zambati nga temba chuban zibin zambati gi ani nga zo sem chuk jo wir ma zo shen temba chuban zibin zambati gi shu ji gi ani neba chimu ji legyo mares ra rangi nga zo neje kanga chukya kanga rangi gi nyumu gi ranyen chuk chuk jawar ma zo rangi gi nyumu mena shen gi rang chuk chuk thuk mares gyacha gyatam thuk mares ra dindin rodan ji reshas.
So, so here the distinction between the selflessness of person and selflessness of phenomena has to distinguish in terms of the object of negation. For instance, the five aggregates being devoid of inherent existence is considered as the selflessness of phenomena rather than selflessness of person. But if we perceive self having some intrinsic existence, then that is the grasping of self. And when we meditate on the selfness of person, we should meditate upon the self itself being devoid of inherent existence. So therefore, the basis of meditation on selfness of person is the self itself, self being devoid of self, being absent of intrinsic existence. So for instance, others being devoid of inherent existence does not do much harm to our practice, but rather we always have a strong grasping of self having some subjective and intrinsic existence. So therefore, in that respect, we should try to reflect upon the self itself, self being devoid of inherent existence.
축적은 사람은 유무 균된 간사도 축적을 맞아. 유무면 간사도 축적을 말했어.
So the person who possesses negative emotions often confuses between these things, and if the person itself or himself is freed from afflictive emotions, then the grasping does not do much harm to them.
Thank you, Geshe.
그러니까
If I was standing in front of Buddha Shakyamuni when he ascended to Tushita heaven, what would I see?
Okay. Tanda morantivadi songdegela. Tanda chomdinde layula ya tambo pebra. Ane chomdinde layula pebe kauso morang di ngosuta di tila yoba ina chomdinde ki tungla yoba ina. Ane tonang kanira uji tongiresa. Karin jegires chomdinde layu pepsimbe kapso.
계란기 좀 되네 간단지 그랬어.
아,
아,
다 chomdinde layu pebe ne kapso morang chomdinde ki kui tungdu yona siwa dagela.
어래.
chomdinde layu pepsimbe kapso ra morang chomdinde kui tungla yona. Ta layu la pebe namba jiora ta. 답변은 남중 미직 아리 로스라는 거 직도단 지어라 남들은 피스란 통단으로 지어라 디난 시직 좀 되디 라이 펩신 비 내가 없어 뭐란 디기 좀 되고 총라여나 아니 간디도 진지 그랬다.
배 때문에 뭐 얘기했어. 배 때문에 뭐 얘기했어. 아니 지 로무 신이 잡아서 잡아 용수 잡아 아니 배주지를 잡아 되는지 아니 다 초지 참게 남칸에 배 아니 매도가 차려봐라 소바 아니 지 아니 하이 다 아니 보다 보면 다 용수 잡아 배 가위 남바 아니 배 딘디치는 배 가르쳐다 아니 지 아니 트이나 퍼슨 소바다 오늘 삼기면 게 당한주 삼일 대바지 그러 당한주 그 삼일 대바지 참소 이후다 다는 아 딘디치 싸워니는 삼에는 딘디 야고지 총수 세를 딘디어라 딘디지 얘기래스 딘디 얘기래스라
Mhm. So I think that that kind of scene would be magnificent, where when Buddha actually ascended to heaven, it was mentioned that he was welcomed by playing all forms of music, and where there is a kind of rainfall of flowers from the sky, and from all directions, the divine beings kind of invite him, welcome him with all forms of kind of all forms of music and all forms of sound and so on and so forth. So therefore this scene might be kind of beyond our own comprehension of thinking. For instance, sometimes we could see that I didn't expect that to be that magnificent, but somehow it happened. So therefore there are many things that are beyond our own comprehension, and it would be it could be an kind of absolutely magnificent thing to witness.
这用是做吧个，没用是做吧个，那用是做吧个，俺你得把看着去，用过是的是，别着恰下来呢，当个查萨了就是得了，他叫我们去查萨了是偏往的，养生不定的是吧？别但我那这多的，叫我们去偏用个的是那往的个，大话去你是应了，但是怎么说个的是？ 캄발레 세타인라 소바 람가기 이연 짜마르 소야라 소바 람가 소야라 소바 짜마 스위치 짜리리 차르 그레스 롬바코는 짱마 차르 그레스 근데 야오르무지 페온디기다 페나 빵고 도솔이야 칼라 야즈라르 왔다 빵고 도솔 텐드니에 조 칼라라 칼라 뱀비룰라르 그레스 답변에 아니 뭐라지 아니 modern pena risho tangding so kyura da konzo gi nima lacha de pedin namgyulen da nga thuk peshi chusaji mang ragores 총가 영에도 저거 총 쇼로고 얼스다 다 야워르무지 지 표현데 총가 다보도 빼디 남귤 로직 총자다 야워르무지 표현데 다와직 총자니 야워르무지 표현데 다와직 총자야데 야가 요런 거스 디나지 사간 다보레스 데디니 최공연술도 이인바로 왔더라 왕로맹아 용수 접어 토고라서라 간지 용수 접어 내가 칸도 거스 딜라가 지면아 딜교지 싸우니 얘기 말 산지직 병원 딘디 얘기를 했어라.
Yes, sir. So if we kind of imagine Buddha's tendency to heaven, it would be kind of somehow fulfilling to all the beings present there. For instance, if you could look at that similar incident from the visit of His Holiness the Dalai Lama, we could see that when I was in Sera, and His Holiness used to visit the monastery, and prior to his visit, we would spend a month or so cleaning, painting the houses, cleaning the area and so on. So we spent a lot of time in the preparation, and the entire surrounding will become so clean. And then during his actual visit, not only people who wish to receive teaching, they also, of course, they receive teachings. But apart from that, many ordinary kind of beings also get fulfilled with their mundane pursuit. If they are the beggars, they get lots of offerings, and those tuk-tuk rickshaw pullers, they also get benefit from the visitors. And then if those people who are doing small businesses and who are running restaurants and so on, so they also met lots of fortune in their business. So all of these are considered as the blessing of his visit. So therefore everyone gets fulfilled in their own pursuit, whether it's mundane or it's spiritual, or whether it's a dharmic pursuit. So similarly, Buddha's ascendance or his visit will definitely have a similar kind of effect.
Thank you. Tojana.
Thank you. Bless. Bless.
Final Lamrim prayer, page 12 in a small booklet. From my 2 types of merits, vasa space, that I have amassed from working with effort at this practice for a grand length of time, may I become the chief leading Buddha for all those whose minds' wisdom eye is blinded by ignorance. Even if I do not reach this state, may I be held in your loving compassion for all lives, Manjushri. May I find the best of complete graded paths of the teachings, and may I please all the Buddhas by my practice. Using skillful means drawn by the strong force of compassion, may I clear the darkness from the minds of all beings with the points of the path as I have discerned them. May I uphold the Buddha's teachings for a very long time. With my heart going out with great compassion, in whatever direction the most precious teachings have not yet spread, or once spread have declined, may I reveal this treasure of happiness and aid. May the minds of those who wish for liberation be grounded boundless peace, and the Buddha's deeds be nourished for a long time. By even this graded path to enlightenment completed, due to the wondrous virtuous conduct of the Buddhas and their sons. May all human and non-human beings who eliminate adversity and create conducive conditions for practicing the excellent paths never be parted in any of their lives from the purest path praised by the Buddhas. Whenever someone makes effort to act in accordance with the tenfold Mahayana virtuous practices, may he always be assisted by the mighty ones, and may oceans of prosperity spread everywhere. Thank you very much.